if you want to move forward. If you don't want to move forward, it doesn't matter. But here in this one, there's a thing that most people would never know if they didn't keep up with this magazine. In other words, if I want to program this, and a lot of these programs, you have to program yourself. When you get into the Raspberry Pi, the Arduino, and so on, there's two programming languages that are kind of mandatory around the world. So if you want to program this button, or this button, or this button, or this button, you've got to know what the company put in there. Okay? Sometimes you can find a data sheet. They're called data sheets. Have you ever looked at a data sheet? Okay, what one?
A data sheet for like Excel.
For what?
Through Excel. For like in economy, we look at data sheets for the stock market.
Every piece of device by a big company has to have a data sheet. If they make something for other engineers, they have to put on a data sheet. Usually they're 3, 4, maybe 5 pages long. Sometimes they're just one. So hopefully they tell you everything you need to know. But if I want to know, for example, this, up and down, move throttle up, throttle down, which means forward with the drone, back with the drone, and then I want yaw, okay, this, okay, this, and this come from here. Okay. I've got to know what the programmer did with that. The company did, okay? Then the software engineer that put the thing, and we've talked about before, binary, math, binary code, hexadecimal, okay? This is how the engineers work. So you've got to know these code systems, these math systems. More than likely, these are geared between 0 and 255. Okay? So you've got to know in the analog world and how it relates to the digital world. So they might have it from 0 to 100. So if you want it to land, it's got to be 0. If you want it to take off, it's got to be 100. If you want it to hover, for example, it may have to be 50. Okay. Everybody tracking? But if they did this as 0 to land, 255 to take off, and half of that to hover, you've got to know that if you're going to work with this kind of stuff. Okay. So this magazine here with the Raspberry Pi, you can connect it to Raspberry Pi or Arduino, and then on the screen you can read it. You push it this way, it'll say 255 on your screen. Push it this way, it'll say 0 or this. So you've got to figure out what all these buttons mean. In the games, in a lot of things, for example, when I want this here, this one will tell you. Okay? It'll say volume up, volume down. But there's no volume up or volume down on here. So this is where a data sheet or something comes in. You've got to have some kind of instruction that goes with this here. This is volume up, volume down. Okay? Each of these buttons can do something. Frequently, the buttons will overlap, where the same button will do 2 or 3 different jobs. So, and again, all that just comes from either learning, experience, or reading somewhere. So what I have to do now, for example, what we've been working on for a year is a microscope. To be able to control a microscope, instead of controlling with your fingers, I want to be able to find that cell there and send it to you, take a picture of it. So that's one tiny cell. Out of one field of a microscope, it may be 200 cells. So I've got to find that one cell very, very precisely to tell somebody else about it, and so on. So you're going to have, when you get into this micro world, very, very precise measurements. Stop there a minute. Any questions? Okay. probably,
Was-
go ahead.
Well, one of my nephews, one of these video or virtual viewers, he just got one for Christmas, and he's blind in one eye.
Got one of these?
Yeah, and he said he can't get it to work.
Well, it'll work. That's, I probably should talk about that, okay? I had a pen here. Get it anywhere? No. Anyway, let me just explain it to you. Oh, here it is. Okay. You got two eyes, right? Okay. We don't see things with two eyes, right? What our field of view is like this. Okay. Now, my wife is blind in one eye. She's been blind since she was 7, 8 years old. She's got a toxoplasmosis of the retina, which back then they didn't know a whole lot about. But anyway, she can see peripherally, but the important part of that eye is gone. So she's basically been using one eye to read and everything since she was an adult. So anyway, we see things like this here. Like your TV comes back, used to be lines, resolution, and so on. So it's your brain that puts the two eyes together. It's your brain that puts the two ears together. So you don't hear two different things. When I retired from the Army, I was driving up to Shreveport for a conference one time in my motorhome, and all of a sudden I was seeing two things, double. They call it double vision diplopia. I had to put a patch on. I got a virus infection, one of the 4 muscles of the eyeball, and it didn't work. So that eye didn't do the same thing this eye did. So you have to patch it, which is what you're talking about, right? So when you take a picture, like with this video camera, you're going to get this. Okay? So what they do now with the software, for those of us who grew up with 3D, you ever go to movie theater, anywhere with 3D, you put on these goggles, one's red, one's green, one's blue, probably, or reddish, so on. Now you see dimensional, okay? You see immersion, 3D vision, whatever you want to call it. So, and to do that, you have to have the two eyes adjusting different, okay? So, if he's got one eye bad, this, on this screen here, when you look at it, and you turn it into this, and you don't need to put it on here, you can see it there, you're going to see you'll see this. This is how it looks like there. Okay. Now, that's 360, a little bit different, but the basic principle is going to take a flat 2D dimensional view and turn it into 2. Okay? So if you look at there, you're going to see 2 pictures. Each picture is going to be probably a little different. And that's why you have the goggles. Okay? Or in the old days, 3-dimensional, different. One will be a little bit different color, and they'll be offset a little bit. So the bottom line is it will work for him, but he's got to somehow figure out how to solve this problem. Okay, which eye is it? Do you know which eye is bad? Anyway.
It's his right eye.
Okay, what he's got, let's say this is right, left. He's still going to see this, but he won't see the other. Okay, so he's not going to get 3D. You've got to have 2 to get 3D, but he'll still be able to see it. But again, it won't be of a lot of value, at least in my opinion, because he will not get virtual reality. He will not get the 3-dimensionals. He can still probably get 360. All 360 does is right, left, and up and down. So if you have 2 cameras, 180 here that takes this and this, turn around, he can still swipe the finger because one eye can see all this here. So he'll still be able to see up and down and so on, which you can do on here. But he's not gonna be in the middle of the room. You've gotta have the three-dimensional approach. Does that answer your question?
Mm-hmm.
No, he can still use it. But he's not gonna get what you and I would get.
Yeah, he wouldn't get
But he doesn't get it in life either.
Right.
This is not gonna make your sight any better. All it's gonna do is give you a different mindset. I'm sitting in the middle of this aircraft carrier, or I'm down here under the water, you know, and I'm looking all over at the scuba diving fishes and so on. So. Samantha, any questions? No, Elizabeth?
No.
Okay, now, I'm gonna bring this up later at a meeting. Believe it or not, the only place in the world this comes from is Turkey. China's got a manned space station. Russia's got a manned space station. Killeen has a clean native that went to Russia, went up there on a rocket, in there, and he's gonna come down in 6 months, back to Russia, and so on. So, say to yourself, why? Why can't we put a man in the moon? Why can't we set up anybody anymore? So, there's really no good answer to it. But the answer basically is education and motivation. So anyway, as I said, this comes from Turkey. And we here in Killeen, we watched very closely, the City of Killeen website has been hacked by Turkey twice in the last year. They closed down our website and put the Turkey flag up. So why are we letting people in Turkey do that? The newest thing, if you watch the politics, is what we call false news. Last election, we didn't have false news. You know who is feeding the false news to us?
Russians.
An 18-year-old boy, 18-year-old, how old are you?
18.
An 18-year-old boy in Macedonia has 200 websites around it in the United States. And he's feeding news into these websites on anything that you want said. If you're a Republican and you want to say that Clinton's been stealing the world blind, if you want to say that Obama is going to bomb the world, he writes it. And many of our leading people believe this. They see it on the web, they believe it. I've gotten rid of many things on my Facebook because I know that these people just aren't thinking anymore for whatever reason. And he's getting paid for it. He's making good money. So if you want to make some money, they're called fake news sites. So 18-year-old boy, and it's well established. We have a leading politician here in Texas, and that's been in the news in Austin, who's publishing all this stuff on his website from an 18-year-old boy in Macedonia. He's published it. And when he's asked questions, his answer was, I'm not like other politicians. I can do whatever I want. So when I get stuff on the web, Facebook, I always tell them, you know, look, this is not fake news. This is not research. This is not authentic. You know, if you want to keep sending me stuff, you better, get rid of it. Because the bottom line is, I just don't need to read all this stuff. And bottom line is, nobody does. But I'm saying, the world is taking advantage of it. While we sit by, in my opinion, playing football, the world is passing us by. So the other thing is, we were a leader. The United States came up with the airplane, how to fly, Wright Brothers. Radio Corporation of America, RCA. We still use their plugs and so on. So we were a leader. And we let other people lead us by. This happened, I learned from you. Well, this is the RCA, however, made in China, not made in the United States. But RCA, American company, this is the No, that's not it.
That, well, I was gonna say, that's a little,
Yeah, it's over here.
well, how'd you get it so fast?
Amazon.
That's the RCA.
Well, you bought it off Amazon?
Galileo, yeah,
Huh?
yeah. RCA Galileo,
Right,
Pro.
yeah.
So, anyway, girls, this is a tablet with a keyboard, so a lot of people now are calling this a laptop, which it really isn't, it's still running on Android.
Right,
But they're selling anywhere from $75 to $125.
right.
It's a very powerful little system.
Well, I'm glad you're happy, you know, because I brought mine,
Yeah, what?
because I didn't,
You would want to show it to me.
well, yeah, but I can't believe you got it so fast. It took me about 4 or 5 days. But I ordered mine through Walmart.
Oh, yeah. That's it, that's why I like Amazon. I don't want to wait 4 or 5 days. I got something coming in that I wanted for our program on Wednesday from Amazon, so I made sure to deliver it on Tuesday. So
Well, Roy was asking me Friday if it had Bluetooth capabilities.
Pardon?
He was asking me Friday if it had Bluetooth
Yeah, as far as I
capabilities.
can tell, it's got everything.
Yes,
It-
and well,
It's loaded, it's got.
Walmart had a deal. I paid $78. For $10 more, you could have got a Bluetooth speaker and another item or two. I forgot. I'd have to go to Walmart website to read. But for less than $100, you could have had this 2-in-1
Girls, you can get one
Galileo
for Christmas.
and a Bluetooth
Yeah.
speaker.
It's got HDMI, got USB, micro, it's got everything that is hot in the market right now. Plus, the nice thing about it is.
That just pulls right off.
Now you got a tablet.